Welcome back. We are in week 6 of Spartan training, for our first obstacle race. If I don't look familiar to you, that's because you haven't been watching the videos. Please go to week 0 and start this whole training program if you want to train for your first Spartan race. And if you are returning, thank you again for watching this series. So I think this week is going to be the most useful week for you yet, because I'm actually going to start talking about how to tackle some of these different obstacles. Number 1, the spear throw, including how to make your spear and how to throw it and how to train for it. And 2, the cargo net, how to navigate the cargo net like an expert. I have a way of going it up quicker than anyone else and getting down within a second or two. So this week, I'm also going to show you how to use the hills as a psychological tool to defeat your enemies, aka your competitors. So let's get started. And before we get started, I'm going to ask you one small favor. Please subscribe, like the video, leave a comment, all that stuff. I guess in the world of YouTube, it helps with the algorithms. But as you can tell, I kind of forget to ask that every time. I just enjoy making the videos. So as always, there's a link down below to a Google Doc that outlines the 7 days, this week's workout for 7 days. Take a second, pause this video, go to that link, get the workout, and kind of follow along as I talk about the significant days of the training today. With everything, the interval days, we're increasing the mileage and the intensity. So day 1 is closer to your original base workouts. There's not a lot of changes there, with the exception of please stick to a 5 to 6 mile run on that day. So day 3 is going to be radically different, because what I want you to do on day 3 is to find a gym that has access to a climbing rope. And we're going to do a workout around that climbing rope. More than likely, this is going to be a CrossFit type gym or kind of like an American Ninja training type gym. And what I want you to do now is to actually practice your rope workouts. If you're not comfortable with climbing the rope at this point, please look at my channel and there's a video for how to practice a rope climb without actually having to rope climb if you don't have access to it. That video focuses on how to use your feet to properly grip the rope, because the success of the rope climb depends solely on your ability to hold your weight with your feet. It's not a strength obstacle. It can be, but it doesn't have to be. So for your first set, I want you to do 15 burpees and then 5 rope climbs. You can alternate too if you feel more comfortable. It doesn't matter to me the order that you go in. So repeat the rope climb, 15 burpees combo 3 times. On your second superset, focus on pull-ups. So do 3 sets of 15 pull-ups. Do 10 burpees to box jumps. So basically what that is, when you do the burpee, as you're jumping up from the burpee, I want you to explode out of the burpees. You're going to explode and jump on top of the jump box, the box jumps, the box for the box jumps. I'm sure there's a more scientific name for it, but we're going to go with that. And then do, so after that, you can do hang raises, or you can switch it up and do knees to bar. Basically, it's a rocking motion, and you bring your feet all the way up to touch the pull-up bar. End that with an easy 3 to 5 mile run. This is an active rest recovery type run. Day 4 is a big switch up too. So we're going to do sprints, but we're going to do hill sprints, and we're going to do 600 intervals. So you're probably not going to have the ability to measure the distance. So just try to find a distance on the hill sprints that is somewhere between 400 meters and 800 meters. I just put 600 meters. So you're going to sprint uphill, sprint downhill, and repeat. I like to do it on a hillside where you're kind of not going straight up and down, but kind of like at an angle. Obviously, the steeper the hill, the better for you. And you don't have to go straight up and down a hill. You can do kind of like this roundabout hill run. But the important thing is to find a hill that is fairly steep and to sprint hard up and don't relax on the way down. Use the downward motion and get used to exploding downhill, because during a race, if you're running from somebody, you're 3 miles in the race, you're both exhausted, and you get to a hill and you sprint up the hill, the person behind you is not going to try to recover from that. You're going to break them mentally. And to put further distance upon you when you're going downhill, yeah, I mean, it's a power move essentially. The reason I would prefer this is because I know at the end of the race, my sprint game isn't going to be strong and I'm not going to be able to out sprint someone at the finish, but I can break them early on in the race. So that's kind of the goal with that, is to train yourself to do a pull away on the uphill and to further increase your distance on the sprint, on the downhill, because most people going downhill are going to use that as a time to recovery, especially if they've already ran, 2 to 3 miles in a tough obstacle race. So day 5. Now day 5, I'm going to give you an option. You can either do the bucket carry if you're fine doing that, but if you want the option to kind of test your might to see how you're going to do in the race, or to see how much more you've progressed against other athletes, I would suggest that you drop into your local CrossFit gym for a drop-in on a day that they're doing an AMRAP. So that's as many reps as possible. And this is basically the portion of a CrossFit workout that is solely based on endurance and strength, but mostly endurance. And that's what we've been training for. So you can drop into one of these gyms and you're basically competing for 20 minutes against other people that go to CrossFit day in and day out. And I guarantee if you've been doing the workouts, you're going to destroy most of them. And doing this also gives you the benefit of what it's actually going to feel like to compete. When I go into these workouts, these AMRAP workouts at a CrossFit gym, I'm going into them very competitively, and having that mindset actually starts to let the adrenaline flow. It starts to put me in that race mentality. I think that's something that's good to experience before your race. Alternatively, you could enter a 5K or something like that just to get first performance of jitters out of the way, but just for your body to get used to that heightened state of adrenaline, that heightened state of focus that you're going to be in. And it's going to make you feel great to see that all your hard work is paying off. Day 6. Day 6. This is going to be our spear training day. So the spear training, I can make a video on how to throw it. But essentially, I feel like it's hard to explain the mechanics of throwing a spear. You can watch 3 different videos and get 3 different explanations of how to throw a spear. And each of those videos, the person throwing the spear is hitting their mark every time. The mechanics of it is something that's almost, to me, you have to develop through muscle memory. So you actually just have to practice with the spear, throwing it until you get the mechanics down. The way I throw it personally is I envision it throwing it the same way you would throw a football, but with a spear. And kind of I don't keep a tight grip, I keep a very loose grip. So essentially, this day I want you to build a spear. I've included a shopping list of what to do. It's super simple, but all you need is a broom handle, a galvanized 9-inch nail, a way to cut the nail, and duct tape, because you're going to duct tape it up and push it back down into the broom handle. So these broom handles will come with a steel head, and they're meant to exchange a broom head to screw in. So instead of screwing a broom head, we're going to force a nail in there. The hole for the nail is going to be a little bit big. So what you're probably going to want to do is end up wrapping duct tape up around the edge of the nail and pushing it in. I have a video that kind of shows how to do it step by step. It's pretty straightforward. And I've included a shopping list in the training of what to get at Home Depot. So yeah, my advice to you is to get a spear and go practice. What I ended up using for a target is a archery target. There's all kinds of things you can use for targets. When you're actually on the course throwing the spear is always tied to a rope. So the most important part of throwing the spear is to slow down, make sure the rope is on the other side of the barricade, make sure the rope isn't tangled up, make sure the rope, when you throw it, isn't going to get tangled around your wrist or your arm or on anything. I've had 2 occasions where I've thrown the spear, it was going perfectly straight into the target, the hay bales, and it just stopped. and fell down because the rope got snagged either on my arm or on the barricade, or it was knotted up so it had a shorter distance. As you're running towards the spear throw, keep your eye on the competitors that are ahead of you. See which ones hit the hay bales and go to that spear. What that's going to tell me about the spear is that the spearhead is straight, the rope is untangled, and well, essentially that's it. And if you don't have the option, before you throw the spear, in addition to checking the rope, go ahead and check the tip of the spear, make sure it's straight. You can probably bend it straight. Also, some of the mechanics that kind of work too when throwing it is if you can arch it, because as it sticks into the hay bale, it's going to come in at an angle like this, so it's always going to have more of a chance to stick than if it's coming up from the bottom or straight in. I have some advice for the cargo net as well. So when you get to the cargo net, I wouldn't recommend trying to climb it as a ladder, but find the rope that runs vertical and just follow it up as if you're climbing a rope. Using the vertical rope with your hands as a guideline is going to give you the most stability in climbing that rope. My second bit of advice, and this is kind of risky, it's not risky, it's just like you have to have confidence, is once you get to the top, so it's a way to navigate it quicker. So if you're going for speed, the trick is to flip over the cargo net. And it's super simple and it's not as scary as it sounds, but when you get to the top, grab the top ropes, the horizontal ropes with your hands, make sure that your head is aligned with the vertical rope. So when you flip, your spine and your back kind of bounce against it, and it also prevents your head from getting caught in one of the holes, which can happen. So instead of having to like basically climb down the backside, you flip and jump and you're down in a matter of a second or two. Again, so thank you for watching. If you haven't subscribed yet, if you have made it this far to the end, which this is the end, subscribe, man. I'd love to have you as part of the channel. Tell a friend. Tell a poo.